jab, uppercut, leave you laid out on the floor. Try to duck and roll, hit and miss, now you counting stars. Should've practiced more, should've hit the mask, get out there more. Claim that you're the best. You gotta show me, son. Actions over words, baby boy. Is you real or what? Talking way too much, world come. Back sports, talking way too much, world come. Back sports, talking way too much, world come. Back sports,
Shout out to the first in the building, Stickum Boys Fishing and Sports on deck. Salute to WCS, salute chat fam. Let's go to work. You already know what it is. WCS back at it again. Shout out to the hottest chat in the MFN game. A-side official. No negotiation needed. Period. What's good, everyone on deck? I see Carlos Rosado is in the building. Shout out to you, Carlos. What it do, man? Boxing fan talk on deck. Yes, sir. I see you in the building. Shout the Big Blunts and Boxing. In the building, the GOAT is on deck. What it do? Salute to you, man. This topic right here is a little bit, as far as, for me, hold on for a second. For me, this is a different topic, man. All right. Getting down to the nitty gritty of it all. It's not going to be one of those college class freaking period of instructions. But due to the state of affairs that boxing is going through right now, and being that I've been covering boxing since I was active duty, combat sports and stuff, it's just amazing that when I mentioned this, when I did a live stream during the pandemic, and I was talking how boxing has been around so long, right? Even before the mixed martial arts, the Ultimate Fighting Championship, Bellator. I mean, it's been around for so long, man. We've been watching the sport. I remember Pops telling me about Larry Holmes, Ali, just happy to see these boxing matches coming on, right? When HBO used to be on back then, you had Tuesday night fights, Thursday night fights, Friday night fights. I mean, you had those fights on back then. You appreciate the shit out of them. And then not to mention the competition that was active back then. Like, you had more big names back then fighting each other in showcases than you ever could ask for. But one thing that's been taken for granted moving forward, you know what I'm saying, because time stops for no man, is that economically things have been getting a bit pricey. The numbers are changing. The numbers are changing more so to benefit who exactly? Like, we're spending a lot more as far as inflation go, and just to survive out here in life, we spend a whole lot of money. So with that said, boxing is one of those sports where, as it has transcended up the ladder, year after year after year. I said this during the pandemic. I said, man, how can boxing be in a state of affairs, well, a state of emergency back then, to the point where it doesn't have any resources for the fighters to even receive a stipend per month until they get back on their feet. Now, check this out, y'all. Remember, we had Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder in February 2020. It's only 12. This wasn't even a 12-month calendar, yo. We had Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury in February of 2020. We're looking at a good 10 months, rather. We're looking at about 10 months where, boxing was dormant. It was locked down. People couldn't go nowhere. No matches could be put on. Oh man, it was real tough for about 6 or 7 months. Now you take that small group of months right there. We're talking about a colossal sport of boxing, a colossal sport, been around for decades upon decades, right? You take that collective group of months during the pandemic, and you say to yourself, how in the hell can boxing be on crutches just based on one specific incident? How is that freaking possible? And I'm going to tell you how it's possible. Because with boxing, we're talking about a non-regulated sport. We're talking about no one's in charge of boxing. No one. And no one's in charge of boxing. If a fighter commits an act in the ring, whoever's there, the commission, the promotion, all they do is call authorities, just like the incident happened on the street. If something happened in the venue, they call the police, they call the authority, local authorities, and they take note. But boxing is a non-regulated sport with no chain of command. Once again, boxing has no chain of command. So recently, we've had the second resignation of a colossal giant in Showtime to remove themselves from boxing. We had HBO, and people just didn't take too much into it. Like I remember Roy Jones and George Foreman. I remember people shedding tears when HBO was on their way out. And they've been out for quite some time now, out of sight, out of mind, bro. Then who would have thought Showtime would have been next up? Showtime, man. Like, come on. That's one of the best names out there. Showtime. It's Showtime. You know what I'm saying? It's Showtime. We were looking forward to Showtime. Who would have thought we would reach this point where they on their way out the door? So recently, a couple of boxers, not many, have decided to speak up about this, right? And like I said before, I'm not at the table. I'm not trying to be at the table. But certain fighters like Ryan Garcia has made a comment. And Ryan Garcia mentioned today is really important day for boxing. HBO and Showtime defined our sport for a generation, and now they are both out. All us boxers, okay? This is Ryan Garcia. This is the goofy YouTuber, social media guy. He's taking a stance outside of what anybody believe he would ever do. Like he's taking somewhat like a political stance. If you even looking at it from that perspective, I don't even know if we can call it political when it comes to boxing, because there's no like political body to attach this to. It's no governing body. It's not a president. So Ryan said, today is a really important day for boxing. HBO and Showtime defined our sport for a generation. Now they are both out. All us boxers need to make this our collective fight. We got to be thinking about marketing, new audiences, investors, global, all of it. Ryan Garcia, if you listen to me, man, listen to me carefully. I want to absolutely commend you for those words right there. Though you have been a part of some very lighthearted, goofy type of experience, and memories. What you just said in the middle of your tweet is absolutely on point. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people are not going to look at it that way because they're just going to look at you for who you are. You know what I'm saying? The guy who they say have a silver spoon, none of that matters right now because what I see is maturity there, Ryan. What you put in this is maturity. You know what I'm saying? You have the money, you have the looks, you have the high end designer clothes, you have those sponsorships that's looking out for you. You have it. But it seems like to me, Ryan, that you're changing levels. You're taking a step higher with what you do have in your possession, what you've been able to earn, what God bless you with, right? And you're saying that the fighters need to make this our collective effort. I like it. Matter of fact, I love it. We got to be thinking about marketing, new audience, investors, global, all of it. I love it. Now, does this seem like a climb that these fighters are going to have to take, and the Everest is going to be a little bit higher than they expected? Yeah, absolutely. Is the temperature and terrain is going to be somewhat more difficult than what they expected? Hell yeah. Because you're talking about a sport that does not have a single entity that is in charge of it, man. What Ryan Garcia is talking about, man, it's going to require some powerful people. And that is the dilemma that I have, people, when it comes to this whole entire revelation with Terence Crawford and Ryan Garcia exchanging tweets. More so Ryan Garcia coming out and saying all us boxers need to make this our collective fight. Very, very profound in my opinion. I'm not going to lie to you. For some young fighter like Ryan, who every time people mention his name, he seemed like he don't have a struggle. You know what I'm saying? People say, he's had it good in his life. That's not any of my concern. It's the way he's turning over. You know what I'm saying? He's turning over different areas in his life when it comes to the leaf of maturity. You know what I'm saying? The way he's producing fruit right now, psychologically, he's thinking ahead. You know what I'm saying? Like Ryan can very well just leave the sport and go on about his business and go to Hollywood and do something amazing on the silver screen. You know what I'm saying? But for him to come out, I know it's just a tweet, and I know a lot of this, especially now in 2023 and moving forward, a lot of people want to see action at the end of the day. A lot of people have access to words. A lot of people have access to the freaking syllables and vowels. But I will take this and commend you, Ryan Garcia, for putting it out there that you do as boxers. He didn't say just him. If anybody remember what I said, probably not, but I always put it out there anyway. I said, in order for the women's boxing to change anything, they have to do what? They have to get together. When Carissa Shield was out here talking about change, I say she has to get with other boxers that at least have a voice, a powerful enough voice, a powerful enough presence, you know what I'm saying, of experience. If they want to make changes in women's boxing for higher pay, she's going to have to get with her compeers, colleagues, constituents, whoever they may be. And they're going to have a sit down. You just can't be multiple moving parts and expect to connect to one another in passing. This can't happen. And it didn't happen. The only thing that has changed is that something that, when you consider yourself to be one of the elite fighters, you have to connect with the right people. And I think for that aspect, they have a uphill climb too. But for the men's side of the house, it gets a little bit more invigorating because you have individuals that are coming out, and it seems like they're willing to kind of join forces to make this happen. Ryan goes on to say, boxing is still the greatest sport in the world. We just got to reimagine it. I ain't gonna lie to you. That's some good. That is some very informative, productive, conducive information that you just put out to the public, Ryan. You know what I'm saying? I can appreciate that. Hands down, point blank, period, bro. You know what I'm saying? But with those words, now the clock is ticking to see what comes behind it. You know what I'm saying? How are you going to go through the creative process, build up a team, or basically just build up a schedule for individuals to meet all in one setting? Not those individuals who's already running boxing right now, but the individuals like yourselves, the boxers and everything, motivated individuals, not individuals that's just here for the ride along. This is not an Uber. This is not a Lyft. This is for individuals who are willing to understand that they're going to have to drive lanes themselves. They're going to have to put in the manual labor. They're going to have to keep the strength from all around. You know, a perimeter is only strong as its weakest link. They're going to have to be dedicated and committed to making this shit work, because you're going in there against something that's much larger than Goliath. Boxing is like space, man. Boxing is like space. Looking at it from the outside looking in, you're like, how do you put a cap on space? It's impossible. But the one thing that separates boxing from space is what? It's a system. Space isn't a system. Boxing is a system. It's ran right here physically on Earth. It's been problematic. So anything that's problematic, you can restructure it and take time. You know what I'm saying? With the right members on deck. And plus, you know, it's gonna take a length of, you know, dedicated individuals to just come up and put their minds together to try to see how we can make this work. It seems like a absolute impossible task. I'm not gonna lie. Like I said earlier, it's colossal, man. It's extremely colossal, but I love it. Look what Terence Crawford said in response. He said, "This is exactly the point I say we need. Boxers at the table." And he responds to Oscar de la Hoya. Says, "Sit down and shut up. You really think we better if y'all keep running things? You don't get it. We need to do things different. Like other sports. We have the power and y'all can't keep us from using it." Crawford is once again speaking up. You know what I'm saying? He's once again speaking up. The next step is, from both sides, is what? How many fighters have the resources? How many fighters that's active right now are willing, able to combine their efforts, which is going to take an extensive amount of time, to start the initial phase one process of changes? How? You know what I'm saying? I understand that Ryan Garcia mentioned that, you know, it's going to take re-imaging. How can you re-image Earth? Earth is so open-ended. You know what I'm saying? It's here though. It's physically. We know. We go out here and we visit and we basically pedestrian through it all the time. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot that's going on here. Boxing, the system itself. The biggest question I have to everyone that's listening, is this achievable? Is what Terence Crawford, Ryan Garcia speaking about attempting to change, is it achievable? Can it be achieved? Because when Terence Crawford sent this tweet out in response to De La Hoya, I want you to take a look and understand what barriers they're gonna have to face in trying to come up with a structural spreadsheet. You know what I'm saying? When they put their creative thought processes together, trying to build a team, and not just build any team, but a team with enough resources to reach out to certain people that's willing to bring their resources into this and continue to just damn vortex this, get everything spinning and churning. You know what I'm saying? Really get the engines running, and so you can put out the right energy. You know what I'm saying? Start towards change. How it's just not going to be a center point here in boxing. That's what I'm trying to say. There's no headquarters in boxing. So in order for somebody to attack this from just any level, let's just say the ground floor is now with Ryan Garcia and Terence Crawford. The ground floor is now. What is the reach? What is the reach in this ground floor once they started? How far of a radius is this going to take over the years? How do you build up the ground floor to the point where people actually start seeing the improvement and everything for this really start to bleed over and bring bring the roof to a closure, bring this roof, start closing this roof, so to speak, and start consolidating entities that boxing can be considered a regulated sport. First and foremost, is boxing essentially able to become a regulated sport? Can you build up a governing body? Can you build up is it possible to have a boxing president that cannot be bought, sold, and paid off? I mean, boxing has been a part of corruption for so long. It's a lot of people make money off boxing, but the fighters are looking at it like this. We're not making consistently. We're not in this, like a corporate job. It doesn't operate like a corporate job. You got fighters fighting once a year. People in the corporate business, they make money all year round. You know what I'm saying? The only time, in my opinion, fighters make money all year round is that they may have other ventures. They may have sponsorships and all like that. Boxing, no way, shape, or form, in benefit of the fighter, is basically making money all year round unless you're stepping into the square. How does boxing come a corporate entity? Some around those business models. And like I said, this is just something that this is just a little bit of tapestry for me. Like this is not my field. I'm just trying to figure it out. Like I was thinking about it. This is not the first time I thought about it. I've mentioned it before. How does anyone get boxing to a point where you have on the organization, boxing is considered as an organization? And not to mention, right? Let me read you what Oscar De La Hoya said. Respectfully, at Terence Crawford, I disagree. Fighters should hire smart, competent representation that will look out for the best interests of his client. And fighters should worry about the small window of opportunity they have to fight as many times as they can in their short careers. Wow. Look, I'm gonna tell you, that's some dark, shisty ass, shady, shameful types tweet right there from Oscar De La Hoya. Whoo, we're talking about a former boxer, a Hall of Famer. Oh my God. Oscar is, with his promotional hat on, that's a cold-blooded response, man. That's basically saying no. I'm doing. Wait for the phone to ring. You know where the gym at? Stay in shape. Build up your resume. You're doing too much. Don't try to come up here and play with the big boys. Don't try to do that. That tweet right there is extremely borderline. I don't give a shit about what you're talking about. We don't need you at the table. That's what y'all pay. Like Oscar said, you pay smart, competent representation that will look out for your best interests. And look, people, that's one of the primary problems that boxing has had right now anyway, is that the people that's supposed to be looking out for their best interests, they may look out for a certain percentage of their interests. But if you're talking about using numeric scale range 1 to 100%, you know, the interest that they're looking out for these fighters may range around 33%. It depends on how much you got to pay them to look out for your interests. And that becomes redundant over and over again. I'll look out for you. I got you. Everybody's just going through the freaking motions, man. Let me get to this freaking chat, man, so I won't fall too far behind. Shout out to Mr. International Toby Bartlett on deck. What's good? Salute WCS in the hottest chat in the YTC. We're global, baby. We're global. Yes, sir. Shout out to you. Shout out to goddamn UK boxing fans across the pond, man. Salute to you, man. Appreciate you always pulling up. Christopher, what's good with it? I see you in the building. NY Tech, I see you. What's good? I wonder what Jimmy Lennon Jr. thinks about not saying it's showtime from 2024. I'm pretty sure he'll figure it out. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure it's not going to stop his progress, or will it? You know what I'm saying? Because he does work with him. You know what I'm saying? But hey, we'll see how it is. That's a good question, man. That is a patented line. You know what I'm saying? Might need to get with the Buffer brothers. Come up with a new formidable punchline. That's all I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes change is power. With social media and the right teams, these fighters can really market themselves to a point where they might need the promoters, especially now, since HBO and Showtime left the game. So this is what I asked on that, Carlos. This is what I want to underline off what you just said. You said with social media and the right team. What team is that? How many members of that team? Where do they source the team members from? We're talking about such a ginormous field. I'm talking about, look at the eye relief on this, Carlos. Like we're talking about boxing who's been operating in you know what I'm saying, in format. Boxing has been operating in the same format for the longest of time, man. No regulations, doing what the hell they want to do. What right team? Where are these members coming from? Are we talking about sourcing team members that's already supposed to be advocating for the fighters? Take a percentage of those. Are you talking about active fighters, retired fighters? What are these members going to have to bring to the table, first of all, to make change actively visible to the sport of boxing? Are they going to have to go to the government? Who's in charge? This has been one of my biggest questions to you all. Right? Hear me out on this. This has been one of my biggest questions sometimes when I'm just looking up and I'm thinking about how loosely boxing has been freaking traveling from year to year to year to year, right? I say, if these groups, to caveat off what Carlos said, if we're talking about groups of people getting together to make change in boxing, do they go to the U.S. government? Do they walk to pretty much submit or put in requests to summons to speak with the higher ups out there to see if it's a way that they can bring about change, starting with the government with regulation? Is there any way that a group of individuals can be that powerful? Because that's the only way you're going to do it. That's the only way. You know what I'm saying? Boxing cannot go through any type of dramatic changes or transformations or whatever unless you walk up there and get the sport regulated. With regulation, it's a lot of change is going to come. It'll basically like Ryan Garcia said, re-image the freaking sport forever. We're talking about it's going to be a reduction in these belts. I mean, you're talking about potentially, I don't know. I can't say a union because just because you're a regulated sport don't mean you have a union. You know what I'm saying? But it potentially may set up the possibility, with everything in place to have a union to somehow put that in place. I don't know, some type of benefits, some type of health benefits, some type of system where fighters can invest or put a portion of their purses throughout their tenure as an active fighter to the point where it gets time for them to retire and they can receive a pension up to a certain point or for the rest of their life. That's all I'm saying, man. We need some type of change though. um Hold on for a second, y'all. I thought about doing some spreadsheets and all that, but I didn't want the chat or the listeners to get all this jointed because this, in a sense, takes a lot more creative thought process, and you really have to come up with ideas on how to organize the impossible. You have to learn how to assemble, you know, um, a variety of thoughts that make sense to try to bring some type of clarity to something that looks absolutely like a kaleidoscope when you're talking about the corporate world. Boxing is nothing that you can just mesh this all together and say, okay, this is all we need to do to bring this to this point right here. No, it's just too many people that's making money off boxing. The sport haven't even came close to being regulated yet. You have different type of soldiers of war that's going out here stumping through boxing that likes the way it's being ran, that's making a living off the way it's being ran, and they don't have no look. They don't have no intentions of changing this. Even the ones that's up there in the government making money off boxing. It's so many underworld, entities that's making money off boxing. It's powerful, bro. It's powerful. I'm not gonna lie. Hey, mom. Hello. I'm doing. What's good? What? Can y'all hear me right now? Am my audio good? All right, hold on one second. I gotta take care of some business right quick. Hold on. My bad, y'all. Had to take care of some with moms. You know, that's that's priority. So shout out to True Media Boxing Radio. What's good with the coach on deck? I hear you. I see you. It's Golden OG. What's good? So back to what I was saying, man, and thanks for holding up those of you that's still in the building. You know what I'm saying, with no squabble. We was talking about a potential future endeavor. I wouldn't even call this an endeavor. This is going to be like a building process of infinity, because this has never been done before. And see, the one thing about it, they don't have any competition. When I say competition, boxing in general doesn't have any competition as to why this should happen. It's just strictly them. This is a system that's been in operation for quite some time, a lengthy part of time. And it may have been people complaining about it, more so the employees of the sport. You know what I'm saying? More so the employees of the sport are complaining. But there's a lot of individuals that's eating out boxing, while the fighters themselves who are competing in the ring are almost like the help. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they get a stipend, they get money, but not across the board like it should be. It's not too many Floyd Mayweathers. You know what I'm saying? It's not too many Manny Pacquiao's. It's not too many Canelo Alvarez's. It's really, whenever you hear fighters getting paid a lucrative amount of purses, high-end heavy purses, you don't count that above 3. That's minimal. You got thousands upon thousands of boxers, but you don't count that above 3. 3 fighters who are really making that bag. I'm talking about without a dance partner that's making the bag consistently. You don't see it. We're talking about ranking systems for what? Because within the ranking systems doesn't get you paid any more money until you actually get the fight. And regardless of you in the ranking systems and you get the fight, it's all about who you're fighting. It's all about who you are signed to when you get that fight. What percentage are you getting when you go into that fight? So it's just all the discrepancies that you look at for so many decades. You say to yourself, this is a re-imaging process that is going to take forever. It almost seemed like it's a gargantuan freaking task that's impossible for us to even fathom. That can be molded into an organization with a governing body, with a president, and ultimately become regulated. I think there's some people that have been eating off this sport for so long, generation after generation after generation, that will put up a fight unlike you ever would imagine if these fighters attempted to build up a solid group of individuals, you know what I'm saying, experienced, business-minded individuals that try to walk on the White House to try to attempt to get boxing a regulated sport. That's the only way that's going to happen. And this doesn't just have to do with the networks falling out and advisors like Al Heyman that was praised so highly, you know what I'm saying, to the ghetto heavens, of doing such a magnificent job, to only crash and burn at this point in time. And we're only 3 years removed out the pandemic. You know what I'm saying? People was boasting and bragging about how good, the numbers was doing over there and all that. But yet none of these same channels have any type of resolution as to why Showtime is walking. So moving them away because they was never relevant. Moving forward, does Oscar De La Hoya have a point in his selfish freaking tweet? Does he have a point? Or he's just reminding you all as to why boxing is the system that it is, and those individuals who are running the system are there for a reason. They're in place to put up interference towards these boxers, to keep the boxers on the outside so they don't know what's going on at the table. Oscar says pay like-minded individuals. Crawford say this is exactly the point. I say we need boxers at the table. So Let me stop it right there and say, okay, from Crawford's point of view, you coming to the table. Who are you coming to the table with? You have to come to the table with the individuals that you're paying to be at the table also. Those who are considered to be qualified to sit at the table. So let's say Crawford and whoever he brings to the table with him. Once you get to the table, the planning process has to be, I'm talking about, it has to be a plan. It has to be such a welcome aboard package. Your shit has to be in order, period. When you come to this table, if that table ever presents itself, however you word the criteria to present, your presentation has to be immaculate. This is not just the garrulous talk outside on social media. When you go to the table with these individuals, whoever they may be, I don't know where your starting point would be, because you can't go to a promoter. A promoter is not the starting point. And this is what I'm saying about this sport being so open-ended to basically undertake a task like this. Where's your starting point at? What direction? What is your coordinates? How are you programming your GPS? Where's your targeted precedence to make this beginning happen? What is your initial steps? Where's the direction? Because boxing is not an organization, it's a system. So how every computer system don't run the same. Every banking system don't run the same. Every server don't run the same. Where do you start? The only place you're going to start is going up to the government, period. And we know how the government works. You know what I'm saying? Go hard to go home. It's a lot of individuals that's up there that's used to going hard because they have the power, that it's not so much their exertion on how they're going hard. It's just they're in the position of power, and what they say go. And you're going to have to go up there and convince them with an immaculate presentation as to how they should take a risk. How is it beneficial to them to take a risk to listen to you all, the boxers who want to sit at the table? Now, look, you might say to yourself, like, okay, well, when you're talking about boxers coming to a table, speaking to individuals who may not have sit at this table before anyway, we're talking about something all fucking brand new for this shit, right? This is all brand new for everybody because boxing is not an entity, it's a system. So the people that you're basically talking about gathering, you know what Ryan Garcia said? Ryan Garcia said, us boxers, marketing, new audience, investors, global, all of it. The individuals that has to be in that room. I wish I would have freaking bookmarked the other couple of lives that I did on this previously, months ago. Those individuals that you have to bring into the room to start this off, they can be the basic, simple principles, you know what I'm saying, of those who are there to get the ball rolling, to somewhat set up a schedule, to see if this is something that they choose to invest their time and effort into, something that's beneficial for change, a drastic change that will affect a lot of people. Who are those individuals that's going to join you in that room? What is the boxers that you're going to select to join you? You can't have no immature boxers. You have to have boxers up there that who are mentally qualified to understand the rest that they're about to experience in trying to attack such a behemoth as this. This shit has never been done before in life. This shit expands way outside fucking Twitter. Twitter doesn't even put a speck to this shit. All those people that's running Twitter, the owner of Twitter, Amazon and all that, you think they're going to get into this? They have the money to do it. Does Ryan Garcia Does his forecast, his thought process reach far and beyond the stratosphere? And is he thinking about getting individuals that have the pockets, that have the foundational structure? Because they have organizations, they have companies. You know what I'm saying? They are the facilitators. Who is facilitating boxing? No one. No one is facilitating boxing, y'all. And this is my biggest dilemma when you're talking about sitting at the table. What table? I'm asking you, Crawford. I'm asking you, Ryan Garcia. What table? Because every promotion don't run business the same. What table are you talking about? And if you visit that table, who at that table after the meeting is over with is going to be able to make any type of freaking recommendations? Who? I just need to know who at the table is going to be making representations based off why you was there in the first place. You're going to present your talking points, of course, right? Because it's going to take some time for you all to converse with this in private, the boxers who's going to be representing the change, right? And you're going to have to make sure with the boxers, you have qualified individuals that get paid to do things like this. Because once you start to talk, you need to make sure that it sounds organic, like you're educated, like you took the time to think this out, and you educated yourself. It's organic. You know what I'm saying? You did your due diligence and research. You did everything you needed to do, because you know once you present the question, they're going to give you an answer, and then they're going to have their own questions. And you're going to have to give them the answers as to why it's so imperative that you go out on this journey, this adventure to try to change boxing forever. Why do you think you need to do this? Give us some statistics. Who's broke? Who's considered middle class? Who's considered upper class? If the upper class is much more of a smaller percentage than the middle class, how do we build up the upper class to blend in the middle class, blend in those middle class who can compete more of a high frequency throughout the annual calendar? We have fighters fighting once a year. They're starving. Maybe, is it possible for these fighters to fight, 2 and 3 or 4 times a year with this amount of pay? How can we bring the fighters up from the regional? You know what I'm saying? The regional, will this bleed down to the regional promotions? Will they have to adhere to new regulations? You know what I'm saying? How would those regulations be able to benefit these boxers? Will it be a positive or negative? Because we all know the shiesty ass, grimy, slimy shit that goes on in these regional promotions with fighters being told they're going to get paid $1,000. Then when they come to collect the check, the motherfuckers getting $500. You know what I'm saying? How does it benefit? Every fighter cannot be signed with a promotion. You have independent fighters out there. And you see where I'm going with this now? This shit right here is larger than anything you ever experienced, because a lot of areas that Crawford and Ryan Garcia are going to have to attack, they can't see. That shit is so transparent right now. They can't see it. They have to go to countless upon countless upon countless of meetings to even bring any type of shape to this shit. This is like an airborne disease. This is shit that you can't even see blowing around, but it's going to hit you one way or the other. It's going to make you tired, sick, because of the people that's been in it for so long, like Oscar, that's telling you need to hire competent individuals. That's going to work on your mental state. It's going to get you discouraged. And you're going to say, man, we just spent goddamn 12 hours in this motherfucker, man. I don't think we made no progress. This shit is worse than an asylum. No wonder no one has attempted to regulate this shit. Is this shit possible? Why now? Because Showtime is out and a lot of people looking at it like, oh my God. Now we want to feel some type of way that it's dealing with money that's only affecting a minuscule group of people. Like we're talking about minutely now that Showtime is moving away and it's affecting only a certain speck. I'm talking about not the speck that you just see on your fingernail. We're talking about the specks that you have to put under a microscopic lens. This is not affecting a huge number of fighters across boxing that Showtime is leaving. It only expected a small few that was with Showtime. The ones that's being affected is those who are signed with the TGB and the PBC, right? And I'm only guessing that, let's just say, for instance, they weren't really told the extent of Showtime leaving. All right, those individuals that's sitting over there and saying to themselves, damn, they didn't even, they was giving me head feints and foot feints. They really never let me know when the damn actual power punch was en route. I didn't see that shit. That was a sucker punch. I wonder how much word was being passed down to these fighters who are doing their own thing in between fights. Like, you got to look at it, right? These fighters are not just on the phone with their people all the time. Like, even the managers, they may pay these managers, but these managers are not communicating with these fighters all the time. I could care less if somebody say, well, WCS, you don't know that. You just up here talking. Yeah, you're right. I don't know that, but I'm thinking my guess. I'm gonna stand on it. I'm a gamble on my guess. Based off what I know and who I communicate with, I'm gonna gamble off my guess. These managers don't be telling these fighters everything. You know why? Because if these fighters don't have a fight coming up, you think these managers pick up the phone all the time? Absolutely. NOT. Absolutely NOT. Come on, man. Let's be real. Some of these managers have dozens of fighters they signed to. If a fighter is hanging out on social media and they start hearing things like Showtime is folding, not folding as crumbling financially, but they're resigning their efforts to further support TGB and PBC. And the phone is not being answered. What are they going to do? Get mad at the manager? You're locked in the contract. Ain't shit they can do. Isn't that how Oscar De La Hoya is thinking? Oscar De La Hoya don't want to give a fuck about what you're talking about. Hire competent individuals not to take your phone call. When it's time for us to talk, we'll talk. But until then, you paid me, right? Okay, you paid the competent individual to know what your best interest is. So therefore, wait for me to provide you with what's going on. I will give you updates when I fucking feel like it. Until then, you know where the gym location at. Go over there and stay in shape to the point where if a fight presents itself, you can get that fight in your short time in your career. That's what De La Hoya is talking about. That's his mentality. That's De La Hoya's mentality. That's some savage ass shit he said. Look out for the best interest of his client, and fighters should worry about the small window of opportunity they have. The small window of opportunity they have to fight as many times as they can in their short careers. Unfreaking believable. This is savage. This is a perfect example on what I say. I commend Ryan Garcia for his words. I commend Crawford for saying, you know what, I'm feeling some type of way. You know what I'm saying? He wants to take a stance. So what Ryan up here saying that all us boxers, people look at boxers as individuals who go in there and get punched in the face, punched in the head, and all that shit, right? But yet you rarely see a boxers behind the scene doing business for themselves and all like that. Not every fighter that can go in a boardroom or go sit down at the table and have some very logical, sensible words for people of substance to speak on that subject. This subject is much higher precedence than some of these fighters want to deal with. Because look, let's just face it, you have to meet together first as fighters to talk about all the fine details. First of all, Let's get a clear understanding as to why we're here. Who's going to be in charge? There has to be a voice. And then with that voice, y'all have to come up with some organization first and foremost, from start to finish. We have to provide a timeline on why we here. That is the biggest question. What are you trying to do? You want to sit at the table? Why? You just coming to the table to try to talk to the people that's already at the table and try to get them to change up some shit? It's pointless. It's senseless. You know what I'm saying? Calumny. You're wasting your fucking time going up to the table, talking to people that's already at the table and saying, you know what? I hope y'all heard us, respect us, and maybe we can see changes. And if no, it's not going to fucking happen. That's my question. You know, that's one of my questions that I have. Like, you going to the table to try to get people that's at the table to change the shit? Or you all are going to the table because you're going there as a collective group to be the change? That means you want them above. You want to go talk to the people that's above the people that's already at these tables in boxing. You want to go to a new entity to try to make a drastic, more permanent change to the sport of boxing forever. You going up there talking to the individuals that's already at the table, that's going to be non-conformity. They may give you the smiles that you want while they're kicking each other under the table. You know what I'm saying? They're going to play the game. They did this shit before. So you have to take that in drastic consideration. Why are y'all walking through those doors? You better have all your administrative damn notes and everything there for you. You better have a good speaker. You better be able to understand that you're going to hear some shit that you don't like and be willing to listen to it and have somebody taking notes, have somebody recording this shit so you can really build off the first meeting. This is not something that's going to change in the next 2 to 3 years, bro. Y'all boxers have to understand that. Y'all have to understand it. Yes, plenty of people out here that can be a mouthpiece, that can go in there and advocate for you. But like Ryan Garcia say, all us boxers. Ryan is talking about boxers. So what is going to be the count? Who are you going to get there? Are you going to get active boxers or retired boxers? Are you going to get boxers that's not attached to a particular promotion or what? Who do you find that you can trust to sit at this table and sway these people, influence these people, convince them that now it's time? Because I'm upset that Showtime is leaving and it seems like the sport is crumbling. Well, guess what? The sport itself is a system. So I know from the higher end of things, let's just say you're on a high rise and there's a shimmer. You're going to automatically assume that the shimmer came from the bottom up, right? And you're going to think to yourself, oh man, what was that about? And you on the 50th floor. Man, did y'all feel that? Now you're going to wait for another. Oh, let me see if it happened again. That's scary. I ain't trying to be all the way up here if shit going on downstairs. Can anybody see anything down there? Let me call so-and-so. They went to lunch earlier. You're going to start trying to find out. This is not something that's going to happen over freaking night. It's not going to happen in the next 5 years. But if you want to begin the process, it's going to have to start sometime. And you're going to have to make sure you're willing and able to put the time and the effort to conquer. You're going to have to go out here to conquer. I'm talking about man hours after man hours. You know what I'm saying? Shelling out money, paying qualified individuals to talk with you in the room. You know what I'm saying? To for the next time you walk in there with these individuals, you all are becoming more and more proficient as to the direction you're trying to go to change boxing forever. You're trying to do damn near something that seems fucking possible. just for the better good of the boxers. And knowing that a K4, they'll sit up there and look you in the face and say, man, I appreciate what you're doing, but man, it ain't too bad, man. You know, I'm making more than I did 5 years ago, man. It may just be $15 more, but I'm making more than I did 5 years ago, dog. It's some boxers out there, man, that don't or will not embrace what you're trying to do. That's just anywhere in life. Some people are so complacent to being in the situation they are. They so complacent to making minimum wage. They so complacent to just making a little bit more money than they made last time when they can be making a whole lot more money than they made last time. Get back to this chat. Shout out to Bruce Gas Boxing Jazz some more. What's good with the OG? How you feeling? 913 on deck. I see you. Jessica in the building. I see you on deck. What's good? Q on deck. I see you. Boxing need to be under one entity. And that's my whole point. Like, as quickly as you type that out, the distance between the first and the last character, when you compare that to boxing, it's an unbelievable feat. As quick as I just read that, there's no way in hell I can compare the process of them trying to have a seat at the table and even begin to get people tuned in to take them serious. I wish them nothing but the best, real talk. You know what I'm saying? I really do wish these cats the best, whoever it may be. I know we're talking about Ryan Garcia and Terence Crawford, but listen, if you have the power, everybody have a different volume of it. And with the volume of power, it's not like you have to have an extreme amount of quantity of power, but how potent is it? You know what I'm saying? How far does your power reach when you're trying to influence people to say, this is what I'm trying to do in boxing? And more people are going to get involved because they're going to tell you, okay, listen, you know that you're going to piss some people off. You know this structure up here that really don't have to deal with the promotional aspect of the house. And they're not really locked in, but they making money off boxing. It's a lot of people that make money off boxing. So if this is just the huge dead space that I have for this whole deal with where are they trying to go with it? Are you trying to get the sport regulated? Are you trying to get the sport regulated? That's my whole thing. If you're trying to get people at this one table, how long is that table? Who's sitting at the head of the table? Where does that table exist? Who has enough shot calling power to bring these promotions together? How many boxing promotions are there to bring together? How many boxers are going to be able to sit there and speak with enough know-how and boxing sense, business sense, to convince people that's there to invest their money or to get other like-minded individuals to invest in this situation, that in the long term, they'll be able to hold this together cohesively. They'll be able to change this for life and hold this together cohesively. Is enough people there to make this shit stick? Because once it happens, it's no undoing it. You have to be able to stick with the ride. And it's going to cause some gray fucking hairs. It's going to cause some heart attacks. It's going to cause high blood pressure. It's going to cause some people to get killed. It's going to have some people that's health start to decline. This is a massive, as the Brits say. You know what I'm saying? It's massive. This shit is fucking massive, man. You have no idea how massive. This is way beyond the tweets, y'all. People complain about incidents like this in boxing, and it affects a lot of people. Hell yeah, no doubt about it. But yo, this is massive, y'all. A seat at the table. Oscar say, no, hire people to continue to keep it the way it is because we're making money and we get to basically distribute the money that once we get our percentage, we get to distribute that down to y'all. Stop doing too much. Stop doing too much. And just think of how much the conflict of interest is, people. Oscar De La Hoya, Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia is advocating for change, and Oscar's like, no, you hire competent individuals to make that change happen. Though that change may be very minor in your eyes, it's very lucrative for me on the back end because I'm qualified to speak on your behalf. All I want you to do is lace up and box. Can you do that for me there, King Rye? You're overstepping your boundaries. We know it's a lot of backstabbing and blackballing that goes on in boxing. Do y'all understand the magnitude of this shit? Do y'all understand, like, this is far more deeper than a motherfucking tweet. This, I'm not saying it's freaking impossible. I'm not saying this shit is fucking impossible, yo. I'm saying that the starting point seems to be contaminated. The starting point right now is I don't know. It's almost like, where do you start in boxing? You know what I'm saying? Like, when you don't have no centralized location to say, I want to talk to the HR department, I want to talk to this group over here. I really want to, I really just want to, get a group of people and start to work for change. I'm talking about outside of February. This is not just for black boxers. I want to advocate for change, man. Where does all that shit? Where does it start? We're talking about a system. Boxing is a fucking system. This system been running this way for the longest time. Everybody's been on their own little network, their own little bandwidth. They've been doing things their way. They have their standard operating procedures. They work off their own criteria. They have their staff. They have their facilitators. They have the ones who make the phone calls. They have all these individuals out there. But yet, at this point in time, Showtime leaves, just like HBO did. Now, all of a sudden, you have people want to talk about boxing. It's not boxing, y'all. It's the system that boxing operates off of. It's just like running a PC. You have to constantly get updates, right? Right? So you're running off an operating system. How and where did they start, man? You have a myriad of questions that you all are going to have to speak on there, Ryan and Terence. That design model, it better be fucking electric, and the details and information that you have internal to it better be unlike any type of academic plan that they ever read in their life. This is monstrous, yo. Changing the sport of boxing and basically affecting the lives of those who gamble off this sport, who have made millions upon millions of dollars off boxing. Where are you trying to go to the table? Where are you trying to go to the table? Where does the table even begin? Who's going to be at that table? Shout out to Dr. Paul. What's good? Hopefully you and the wife is doing great. Wonderful. Appreciate you pulling up. See you in the building. As long as this world exists, greedy people will too, which will always be in opposition to what's just. I agree with that. I agree with that, man. I hear you. I hear you, boxing fan talk. You know what I'm saying? See, I'm not trying to basically step out to the outside entity when you're talking about the civilian population. I'm only trying to talk about those individuals who are considered within the boxing community that are role players, shakers and movers, the ones who make decisions, the ones that others come to give them answers to certain decisions that have to be made. We're talking about going to the table to do what? To do what? I would love to talk to these individuals about this specific topic. My tone would be different. I'm curious. I would love to be educated on your thoughts. If you're unwilling to reach out and use these lifelines to get this an active topic of discussion, I don't know what to tell you, because that's the only way it's going to catch any type of spark. You got to come out here and play in this motherfucking. You got to. Of course, when I put that out there, it's only going to be a selected few who's able to, jump on that zip line and get the information. I get it, but I don't care. You know what I'm saying? I don't care. I'm just looking at it from a full moon perspective. That's all. Where are you trying to start this table? And what are you looking to get from the first table talk? Who are you trying to have there? And what do you want to talk about? What are you trying to do with this system? The biggest question of all, massively, this is beyond the earthquake. This is something that is catastrophic from the highest of the high. You know what I'm saying? Something that has nothing to do with the ground. This has something to do with coming from above. This has to do with the entry from panoptic. This is a panoptic entry. This is something that will have mass casualties to it if you don't do it correctly. Those are the this is what we're dealing with. What are you trying to do? Are you trying to undertake regulating the sport of boxing? Or are you trying to say, I want to restructure it? And if you're trying to restructure a system that boxing has been operating off of for quite some time, how do you gather those shakers and movers and role players in the same room? How do you bring them, knowing that this is going to dig into their pockets, that this is going to pretty much impair, this is going to change up how they used to doing business and their income and how they running things? How are you going to be able to convince these individuals to come talk in the same setting? Al Heyman, nobody can catch him in public. I mean, who you gonna have Leonard Ellaby sitting in there? Like, are you talking about what we already have in place? You know what I'm saying? Are you talking about the checkerboards is already in place? Is this gonna be like a tournament or something? Or are you gonna go over this and then you're gonna talk to an entity that really don't have to deal with boxing on a daily basis? But if they choose to entertain your request and having a seat at the table in their proximity, I'm talking about in their domicile within the government structure, and you want to present this to them that, hey, what I have right here is profound. I think change is needed long time ago. And I think right here is the perfect time with, what we've witnessed just recently with Showtime folding and what's to come. And somebody might ask what you think is going to come after this. The network is the one who provide the budget for these promotions and stuff like that, because they don't have their own network. And it's only so many networks out there that was actually involved with boxing. So now you get the ball rolling. You know what I'm saying? You have people that's, plugged in now. So you have a lot more energy that's inserted into people paying attention to what you have to say. Now you're generating traction. Now is more and more people that may want to invest. Now they say, "Oh, I've been hearing about this for I don't know how long, man. I think I'm gonna take it serious now. Let's see what these guys are talking about." It's people out there who are rich that can put money towards this to change it. It would be monumental if boxing can become regulated. The UFC is regulated. Why do people believe if boxing become regulated, it shuts down Earth and existence as we know it? What the fuck? Well, what are we talking about, bro? We're still gonna live. We're still gonna be able to exist and breathe, man. I mean, unless you got some personal health issues, I mean, you're still gonna be able to operate off your own freaking breathing patterns and respiratory system. You know what I'm saying? Carbon dioxide is still going to be available, goddammit. They're going to have to speak to Tony, Paulie, and Vito, who really run boxing behind the scenes. Man, stop. Stop. You think Paulie runs boxing? Vito? Hey, they probably run a certain echelon, a little small pocket. But nah, man, we're talking about a landscape so broad, man, that you can't even put that shit on the radar. Now we're talking about boxing being a global sport, man. This is an annual system that is ran all the time. How do you attempt to consolidate that shit and bring like-minded, smart, qualified, educated people together to basically invest life-changing decisions into this from the position that they're holding? You're talking about the government has to get involved. You're never going to be able to get the role players that's actively seated right now in boxing to switch up what they have going on. They will laugh at you. They will nod their head in front of you and say, "Oh, yeah. And then once you're gone, it's, "Oh, they must have lost their fucking mind." No, you're going to have to go over them and allow to precipitation to start going from the top down. Now, when that precipitation start to freaking drop on their forehead and the breeze is a bit different and the temperature changes, then they looking like, man, these motherfuckers serious. Crawford and Ryan is not going to get any respect from the shakers and movers that's already in place. They don't want to hear none of that shit. Oscar De La Hoya is sending a clear fucking message. Pay qualified individuals to do your talking. Pretty much lace up and box. We good. We getting stronger each day. For sure. That's good. That's good news. That's good news. That's good news. All the time. Debbie says, we blessed. Thank you each day. She getting stronger for sure. No doubt. No doubt. That's good news, man. Blessings to you. Real talk. Real talk. That's the biggest question, you know. Like this is something that I can, that can be spoken on. I would definitely like to, I definitely like to hear from the fighters themselves. These two fighters, Ryan Garcia, Terence Crawford, they even speak about something like this. This would be one of those more. A topic like this would entertain me more, being that I'm okay with other topics dealing with boxing and all that, but this topic right here is fresh. I would definitely like to know what your mindset is. You know what I'm saying? How are you planning on exploring this odyssey? Because it's going to be an odyssey, yo. This is going to be something that's so strange. This is going to be places that you ventured, only in your imagination, but to physically carry it out and meet these people to try to convince them to do something that's like a tsunami. This would be the tsunami of freaking boxing. You're talking about a seat at the table to change the sport, or a seat at the table to basically change how it's being ran at the moment. Because I'm gonna tell you, I see that as being absolutely pointless, because you know how many people have became frustrated, perturbed, because they felt like the way boxing is being run is preposterous and somebody should do something about it. Who's going to do something about it? Who's going to hold these cats accountable? They're paying your checks. Who's going to hold them accountable? You want to sit at the table? I'm curious to know who you want to sit at the table with and where. Who you want to sit at the table with and where you want to sit at the table. Because if you're just selecting promotions that you want to deal with, forget about it. Forget about it. It's pointless. Forget about it, yo. And that's what brings me back to this. Can they become powerful men in boxing? Can they undertake the impossible? I only put her up here because they you know, the little buzz that the tweet received, I chose it to be a healthy conversation to speak on. It's healthy right now because it's still in the embryonic stages. This shit is not even a fetus yet, yo. I mean, just think about it. This haven't even went through the gestation period. This is just a tweet. This is just a tweet. Will we ever see the process? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? You got to think about that, fighters. You know what I'm saying? A lot of you are absent of any political experience. And though a lot of you are at a level right now of popularity in life as a celebrity, I'm pretty sure the individuals that you know on the political stage or the political community, it varies. But just because you know them and they know who you are they willing to get involved and have you sit at the table up there where those changes can filter down and no one can do anything about it? Because these promoters and everything, they're not above the White House. If laws are made and boxing becomes regulated, then we're talking about a whole nother legal element. A legal element that has basically severed the old and end with the new. And the old can complain, griping, and do all that shit. But that lifeline has been severed. Now we're dealing with a new system. You know what I'm saying? The whole entire structural system is different now. Its entire mechanics and the criteria for which it runs off of, totally different. Totally different. The engineering, the administrative engineering on how fighters are treated. You know what I'm saying? How the system is ran as far as fighters and the frequency that they're fighting, the amount of pay that they got. Is it possible to get a scale? I mean, pay is always going to be an issue. But with boxing, you got a 1,000 motherfucking belts everywhere. You got ranking systems that don't fucking matter because sanctioning bodies can do what the fuck they want. Imagine if there was just one sanctioning body there. One. And we're not talking about the WBC either. It's so many people that's making money. I mean, we had Errol Spence asking about 3%. It's so many people are freaking drawing these fighters out, man, that they don't give a fuck. De La Hoya say hire competent individuals. Yeah, you got competent individuals that are advocating for these fighters to fight for championships, to build up legacy. And within that legacy, the belts that they have in their possession, they have to pay to have ownership. That's crazy, yo. This is supposed to be your legacy, but you're paying a sanctioned body 3% every time you go up there and fight for holding on to their strap that's supposed to be building you a legacy. If that ain't some spaghetti noodle, goddamn lo mein, chow mein having shit, dude, if that ain't learning how to crochet for the first time and you find out you got 2 pencils in your hand instead of actual, man, come on, dog. Come on, man. How are we supposed to make this shit happen? You know, hey, we'll see how this measures out, y'all. You feel me? We'll see how it plays out. We'll see if it continue to get in buzz. Like I said before, those of you your fighters is out there, if you want to have a decent conversation, I would be more in tune to have a conversation like this because it's refreshing to venture into uncharted waters and to actually see what your thought process is on how you choose to attack this. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this is something they have so many angles that you can dive into, yo. So many angles. But man, shout out to the hottest chat in the MF game, man. Salute to y'all. A-Side official all day, every day. I would love for you all to get an interview with either Ryan and Bud, because I know you're going to ask them about. I would definitely want to hear more of these thoughts on this. I agree, Carlos. I agree. I don't want to speak to no trainers. No. I want to speak to the ones that are against even entertaining where Ryan and Crawford is trying to go. You know what I'm saying? Any type of manifesto they're attempting to draft up to change the sport, because obviously you're talking from a place where Oscar De La Hoya is making pretty good revenue off what he's doing. And he doesn't want to reduce the amount of revenue, you know what I'm saying, that he's making right now, or what he can futurely earn, you know, and doing it the way he's doing it. That's all. I mean, for him to come off the way he did, obviously he felt offended that it was going to tap into his paycheck. So, hey, when he says pay, that's not tapping into anything that's going to reduce his funds. That's going to make him more money. Pay qualified individuals like myself or some people on my team. That's what y'all do. We pull from you all. You don't pull from us. Pay competent-minded individuals. We pull from you. You don't pull from us. But man, y'all hold it down. Appreciate y'all. As always, salute. You know, like, share, and sub, man. Continue to support the channel. Hopefully this has some type of educational depth to it. I'm pretty sure there's going to be some other channels up here to speak on it if they choose to do so. This won't be the last time I speak on it, but yet I'm definitely going to attempt to speak to some individuals that's unknown to the boxing, this boxing dynamic, but yet they can give their input on it because they're basically in a situation where they deal with business entities like this. You know, where is Crawford and Garcia going to get the drawing power to build up the attention from those investors that they was talking about? You know what I'm saying? Those investors. What was it? He said, we got to get investors, global marketing. Those three right there is essentially, you know what I'm saying, the wheels to get this turning. You know, you need them cylinders in that engine. You need it. But appreciate y'all. Salute. Hold it down. I'm out. Peace.
Left jab, uppercut, leave you laid out on the floor. Try to duck and roll, hit and miss. Now you counting stars. Should've practiced more. Should've hit the mask, get out there more. Claim that you're the best. You gotta show me, son. Actions over words, baby boy. Is you real or what? Talking way too much, world come. Back sports, talking way too much, world come. Back sports, talking way too much, world come. Back sports.